beat her up afterwards. But
My fault.
but I remember the look on the faces of these old crusty dudes in the audience when she showed them Twitter, and they had no concept for how that could become useful. And yet now, 3 years later, it takes us a long time as scientists. The executive director of the American Physiological Society is tweeting. So I think scientists want to. I think they don't understand. And I think that there could eventually be a strength in numbers if the bloggers that are established reach out to, especially those who are scientists, reach out to our societies and reach out to our academic communities and say, this is how I'm doing it, and these are the tools that are successful for me. Now take all of the beautiful science that you've got at your disposal and let's them try to apply the tools there. And eventually, I do think if you reach a critical mass and you're using those tools effectively, you're going to start being the upper Google.
Yeah, I agree completely. One of the
Wait,
pluses-
pause. Did Peasy Myers disagree with you?
I'll find something.
Okay.
No, but I think one of the great success stories that we've had in the last few years is more and more scientists are recognizing the importance of translating
Right.
that esoteric stuff they write for the journals
Right.
into plain language.
Right. But I think they feel overwhelmed with, if I can say, evolution, the degree to which the technology evolves. And they feel like I can say my society right now is saying, we just got a handle on Facebook. And now you're telling us we have to do what? And Google Wave, what the,
They're scientists, they should learn that everything changes. I mean, that's the way it is.
To summarize a number of things, I think when I've been to meetings like this, I realise we're like the first generation of people who use blogs, Twitter. These things didn't exist a few years ago. We didn't grow up with them. So in a sense, we're learning them like learning a foreign language when you are older. So we have a certain amount of resistance and difficulty. Now my kids, who are nearly 12 and 9, are taught how to do this at school. They are taught how to blog, they are taught how to use internet resources, and also, to my surprise and pleasure, in the UK national curriculum, they are taught critical thinking in their science. They are taught how to evaluate sources. So I think the message is
We should move to England.
to teach don't all come. The message is you can come visit me. The message is to teach your children. Now, of course, I'm fortunate that I'm a nature editor and my children are articulate and inquisitive, and they say, I've seen this on the internet and blah, blah, blah. But I find that happens with other people's children, because parents come to me and say, my little Fred asked me this question about dinosaurs, is it true? So they take me as somebody they can trust more full day. But I think the generation that's coming behind us will probably be better equipped to deal with these things than we are. So the sorts of things we're talking about, perhaps we're making more of a meal of it than it deserves, because I think that the younger generation may be more receptive to critical thinking and interfacing with people they've never met, comment things on the internet.
So they're being taught to filter.
Yes, they are.
I don't think they are. In some cases, I think there are special situations where in certain schools and classrooms you have teachers who understand the importance of teaching how to filter, but there are, like you said, there are people who have no idea about using the technology in the first place, and they can't teach it.
My kid's school is not some special wonderful academy, it's a state school which whose standards are poignantly low, even by the standards of the region in which I live. But yet they have good teachers and they're taught critical thinking. So
Good teachers.
Yes, well,
Good teachers.
I remember being in a meeting in 1994, 95, when we learned the internet was going to solve all these problems. So I don't want to be this lone cynic in the room, but I don't think tweeting within a group really gets us very far. I mean, I think it's great that we all embrace these technologies, and I'm not poo-pooing that idea, but I worry that we're just creating another echo chamber. And I think saying that all professional societies tweeting is going to solve this problem is a little bit naive. So I hope
I don't think anybody thinks it will solve all the problems.
Or we're just celebrating that these societies were tweeting and Facebook.
And, yeah, and I think it's a good sign that
It's a
you're
good
taking all
step.
this information that's otherwise inaccessible and slowly moving it into the place where the public can read it, find it. And it's just a first step, so.
I just want to,
Yeah,
we're all
well,
subscribing to
that's-
one another's tweets, basically, so
Yeah,
we're not really.
there are people who are starting to successfully use these new tools in, citizen science efforts, trying to get out into the schools, trying to get out into the general populace. And, they're using Twitter, they're using Facebook, and they're actually collecting data on these psychological studies and they're doing it successfully. So I think that people, as these tools that, maybe it is an echo chamber in here, but people are starting to branch out as they learn more about the possibilities.
Well, and there's also the danger of looking at the magnitude of the problem and not doing anything.
I have a question for anyone, and really about kind of getting to something a little more specific than that, which is, I'm asking you to be introspective. What have you done with your audiences, have some feel for your respective audiences, that has either helped establish more trust in science or you as an authority source, or interfered with that, and what can everyone learn?
Told them when I'm wrong. It's the biggest thing I can do. If I'm wrong, and I say I'm wrong, and they know that I'll say I'm wrong, but eventually I figure it out, that's important.
I did an episode, I did a pre-produced episode, and I rarely do pre-produced, but it was for the January 1st air date, and it was on alcohol. So, did you pre-produce that one? I wanted January 1st. So, we did pre-produce the episode, but in the time between us taping and when it aired, a new study came out that was peer reviewed. And it came up 2 days before. So I heard we spliced in an extra part just sort of at the end of an interview with somebody, saying, one of the wonderful things about science is that it changes and that we find out new things, and this is a good thing. And so this new study is totally different than what we were saying. You're welcome. And I think that helps.
I can think of a couple of things I've done that have helped with trust. One is giving a clear explanation. You take something that somebody doesn't understand at all, you can explain it to them in simple language, and they can then also verify your explanation, give them sources. Then they start to trust you, so that's a good thing. The other thing is, it's called prophylaxis. We do this kind of predictive thing where, for instance, when I write about evolution, what I'll often do is say, okay, the authors wrote this great paper, describes all this cool stuff, and I predict that the creationists will say X, Y, and Z about it in 3 days. And I win, because they do. And so people can use that sort of information where it's plain to see, yes, they did that, to understand that you get some credibility in the conflicts in this issue, to understand what the debate is about.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's the same as you all. It's being able to say when we've been wrong. When people send me emails and go, oh, but there's these studies, didn't you see these papers? And what about the vinegar, taking the vinegar diet for health? My co-host Justin and I just totally bashed the vinegar diet. In the idea of just, any fad kind of diet is probably not a good idea. You need to look into, why it's supposed to be good for you. And so we're like, this vinegar diet, these people are just drinking vinegar, have no idea why they're taking it. But later on, several sources were sent to us, and there actually people have looked into this vinegar diet, and it seems that acetic acid and vinegar is great for in increasing satiety, the feelings of satiety, and also decreasing, helping blood sugar, manage blood sugar levels. Yeah, also glucose absorbent. So it's really this fascinating thing, it's like, yay, go ahead, dip your bread in oil and vinegar when you're at the Italian restaurant. It's good for you.
Of course, this kind of strategy doesn't work for those who smoke marijuana.
But you came on the next episode.
Yeah, but we came back on the next episode and said, hey, you know, people have emailed us